This past week, I had a very frustrating experience, and I would like to share that experience with you because upon reflection, I realized that I do the same thing to myself. And in trying to work on myself, and therefore helping myself with a greater situation, I realized that this avodah was very appropriate for nowadays, particularly as we are entering the 3 weeks. But first, the story. I've been working with a young man who is an autistic but very highly functioning. A number of weeks ago, he received his evaluation, and it was very hurtful. It accused him of being uncooperative and unwilling to work, and furthermore, he's received his bad attitude from his parents, who are equally uncooperative and helpful. This was very hurtful, of course. I tried to intercede, and I spoke to the evaluator, and I told him that while it might be true that these are the behaviors that you are seeing, but you can't lay all that judgment. The reason why he's doing that is because he is autistic and because he is not so fluent in Hebrew. But the evaluator could not hear the difference. If that is what he's doing and that is what he's behaving, and therefore he needs to be able to write the evaluation the way it was, including all the judgment. And I kept asking him, no judgment, please. Just say what it is. Be objective without all of your interpretations. I tried to explain to the evaluator that when he puts in all of the judgment, it just disempowers the person. They don't want to do what they can, and they give up, and therefore it's not helpful. But it was to no avail, and the evaluator could not hear me. And then I reflected upon it, and I realized that I do that myself. When I do something wrong, and I look at my behaviors, I say, oh, I'm a bad person, why did I do that? And instead of just saying, oops, I made a mistake, I have to work on it, I also became full of judgment. So I started to wonder, how can I say to myself, please, no judgment, please? I would like to share with you my thoughts and how I achieved a healthier perspective. In order to get to today's final thought, I need to share with you two concepts that I have spoken about in the past. The first concept is, according to Jewish philosophy, the human is made up of two parts. There is the physical and there is the spiritual. There is the body and there is the soul. Both of them are inherently good. However, the body is drawn to their desires, to be lazy or to run after its wants and to fulfill its wills. It is the job of the soul to control that, to be in charge and try and redirect or to uplift it and to make the body sublime. But the neshama, the soul, is always good. Even when a person sins and does averos, it does not taint the soul. The soul is a chelek Elokai mimal. Just like we say every morning, we say Elokai neshama shenasati bi tohoirahi. And it cannot become tainted, it cannot become bad or evil. And therefore when a person does an avera, they have to be able to look at themselves and say, I am good, my neshama is Torah. It is not at all a bad thing. I just didn't do my job. I didn't control my animal. I didn't control my body and its urges. But it is inherently good. So now we understand there is no room for blame and accusation. We just need to remember that our souls are pure and that is who we are. And we need to be able to control our desires and to control our animal wants. And with that, we can be motivated to continue to succeed. And that is true both when we look at ourselves and also the way we need to learn to look at others. And this led me to my second thought. As we have now entered the 3 weeks, starting off with Shivasar B'Tammuz, and there are 5 things that we remember on that day that took place in history. And one of them was that the korban tamid, the korban that was brought every day in the Beis Hamikdash to bring atonement to Klal Yisrael, could not be brought for a number of events. And that was a tragic event. But what is a korban? Why is that important to us? A korban is when we take an animal and we connect it back to Hashem. So too we need to do with ourselves. When we take our animal bodies and our desires, we need to be able to elevate them and connect them back to our source as well. And when we stop being able to do so, we lost the avodah of the Beis Hamikdash, as I will share with you in the following thought. As we are now entering the 3 weeks in which we mourn the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, there is a famous question that one needs to understand. And that is, how is it possible that human beings could come and destroy the house of Hashem? If Hashem didn't want to let them in near it, it wouldn't happen. So why did Hashem allow humans, the enemies of Klal Yisrael, to come and destroy the Beis Hamikdash? And the answer is because we, Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, destroyed it first. In other words, so long as the physical body is connected to the spiritual world, and we understand that everything that's physical in the world really is part and connected to Hashem, then it's impossible to be destroyed. However, once we become fully focused on the body, and we lose our connection to our neshamas, we lose the connection to our source in heaven, then it's just a physical edifice. And that indeed can be overtaken by our enemies. And why was the Beis Hamikdash destroyed? The first one was destroyed because we gave into our own personal desires. It was for Gilui Arayos, Shvichas Damim, and Avodah Zarah, the three cardinal sins: adultery, murder, and idol worship. They are the ones when we seek our own desires and we lose the connection and the perspective that we are really neshamas tahiros and we need to control our urges. And the second Beis Hamikdash was destroyed because the way we look at others. It was sinas chinam. It was senseless hatred, which all hatred is senseless, because if we look at another person as a neshama tahira, a pure person that just may have failed to control his animal, there's no room for hatred. So in these days, we need to learn to say the mantra, no judgment, please. When we look at others and we see that they may be doing something that appears to be wrong, we need to remember that they are neshama tahira, and perhaps they have forgotten or lost the way of controlling their animals. And so too when we look at ourselves and we see the flaws within ourselves and we become judgmental and we feel that we are no good, we need to remember to say no judgment, please. We are neshama tahiros. We are chelek Elokai mimal. And with that, when we be zeicha to look at others and to look at ourselves with a proper perspective, and may Hashem be proud of us and say they are worthy of bringing about the Beis Hamikdash, so that they can continue to do the avodah of connecting the physical to the spiritual. And may we all be zeicha to see the binyan b'ayis shlishi b'mheira b'yameinu. Amen.